Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and today I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Pisces. If Pisces is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so our card today is the Hermit. And let's see, what do these tea leaves have to say? So I just want to mention, I do pull a card at random, right? Out of the deck. Usually I use the Thoth deck. And I just pull that card out so I can kind of see what some of the themes or the tone of the reading might be. And this is just something I like to do personally. And I don't really, I don't show myself drinking the tea or pulling the card just because it slows down the beginning, and it's loud. I tried when I first started doing these readings. I would, clink around the cup there and stuff, and it was loud. It was messy. I'm a bit of a klutz, so it works better without. So I just wanted to talk about that because I've had comments where people ask, how do you do this? How do you get the formations? And really, it is just maybe I'll do a video where I show kind of, separate from a reading so you can see. But anyways, also, if you haven't subscribed, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next videos are coming out. And it is free. It's free to subscribe. So with that, let's start looking at this cup. We have a beautiful figure. It looks like two people, actually. But we have a beautiful figure here. And we have maybe a smaller person or somebody who's a little bit shorter. And I see them. It almost reminds me of an adult with maybe a younger child, maybe a teenager, a young teenager, a preteen, whatever we call them. Okay. I see you trying to get up here, Pudgy. So anyways, we have these two. I see a smiling face in between, okay? And that tells me that this is a good relationship. This is, it seems like to me that this could be maybe your own child. This could be maybe your relationship with your parent. Come here. Come on. Come on, baby. Here's my big baby. Okay, you got to go all the way. I can't hold you while I'm doing my reading, babies. No, and don't you dare go back around. Come on. Come on. You blessed it, and now it's time to go. And now it's time to go. Come on. Get away from me, drink. Okay. Well, you can never make these cats do anything. They just kind of, if you have cat companions, they just, on their own time, they decide when they're going to come visit you. And of course, it's always when the work starts. It's right when the work begins. They say, okay, got to get right in there. So we have the child, we have the parent. And I really feel like this is it may be you with your child, grandchild, somebody that you have taken care of, maybe nephew, niece, somebody, a youthful energy in your life. But I also think that this has to do with your own relationship with your parents, maybe a grandparent, somebody who was the caretaker for you. And I think that there's just a real big energy of in this season of many holidays, right? I think looking back on that relationship, really thinking about those times when maybe there were difficult things going on in the family, maybe there were illnesses, maybe this was the first time that you started to realize that, life just isn't always easy, and we all remember those moments where you get into the age where you start to really notice where maybe your parents are struggling financially. Maybe their relationship isn't that good. Maybe other people in the family have things going on. Maybe somebody is sick, and it's starting to become very apparent. And as a kid, that is, it's very striking. It kind of really disturbs the calmness of being immersed in childhood things. And so I feel like this person really, really, and I got a cat hair in there. I'm sorry. It really bugs me. All pudgy with all of his hair. So I feel like you look back at this relationship where you had a lot of guidance. You had somebody who really took the time to check in with you, to talk to you about how you were feeling, about what things were interesting to you. What were you doing with your life? What were you planning on doing with your life? And also probably teaching you how to do things, whatever that is. I remember my grandmother and my great-grandmother, they showed me how to crochet, and I never was good at it. Still not very good at it. But I remember sitting with them, and they're in the little house they lived. They always lived with us, or they lived next door to us. We would, have a house where they could live next door. And we moved, 2 or 3 times when I was a kid. But they were always so loving, so inviting. And I just remember the patience that they had. And, we would sit and watch TV, and they would show me, how they do their crocheting, and they would talk and tell me about their, when they were kids and all their brothers and sisters and all this thing. And you carry that with you, and so I look at this and I think this is really a sentimental time for you. Okay. And I think that this relationship that you had, and I also see, it almost looks like the head of an elephant. So this almost reminds me sort of the energy of maybe like a Ganesh, and that being protective, maybe even kind of spoiling you a little bit, maybe even, doting over you and making you feel special. And so I think that this relationship really stood out to you, and it made you really think about how you wanted to interact with the younger people in your life. When you came into your adulthood, when you became a parent, an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, and this warmth, this it's just a sense of it's an easy kind of love because it is unconditional, and you have, I think, spent a lot of your life trying to be that kind of love for other people. Okay, and I think you've succeeded as well, because I really feel that when people think about you, there is such a fondness, and I wouldn't be surprised if you were something like a teacher, a coach of some kind, if you do some kind of volunteer work, maybe if you go to church and you do some of the youth programs, or some kind of outreach in your community, something, but you have this ability to really connect with younger people and make them feel like they have something meaningful to offer, that they have something meaningful to say, that they're being heard. They're not just, they're just kids. What do they know? But no, really making them feel like they are a worthwhile being. Okay? And that's so important. That's not an easy thing to do. That's something, I think that most of us, we just go about our business. We don't necessarily take the time to notice what these kids are doing. And the world is so different. I think a lot of people, and this is true of every generation, it's always the same. Like, oh, these kids, they're terrible. They behave poorly. Whatever thing they're into at the time, that's going to be the ruin of society and whatnot. And so I think, I really look and I think that you're a person that really sees beyond all of that kind of, it's not even just negativity. I think it's just a learned behavior that people have. And it's scary because we don't know what the heck they're doing. I don't know. These kids have so many neat things that they come up with. They have whole worlds that they're living in that we have no idea. I'm not even that old. I mean, I feel like it, but the video games and their virtual reality stuff, and they, a lot of them have a lot of friends online, and whole things, just a whole existence that is kind of a mystery, right? And that can be scary to some people. But I think that maybe you and I are not too unalike. I think that it's pretty amazing. And these kids are so intelligent. They're so creative. They can do things that I just don't even, the graphic design, they can put things together. They're so good at, creating beautiful cinema, videos and music. And it's just, and they're funny. They're funny. We always say that these kids, they don't pay attention to anything. They're always on their phones. They're always just whatever. I think that a lot of them are so observant. They notice the little fine details of things. And they're funny. They're clever. I don't know. I could go on all day. But, I think you definitely are somebody who is supporting the collective evolution of consciousness. And that is a beautiful and wonderful thing. So, I feel like there is a draw to being outside. And, I'm looking at this. I looked at the Hermit card and I immediately thought, I almost wonder if you are somebody who likes to go on long hikes, or you go to trails and you like to get out in the forest, or even around your neighborhoods if you have walking paths and things. And it's interesting because I feel like you maybe like to do this alone. Maybe you do this with a spouse sometimes, but the majority of the time I wonder if you are out there kind of, walking and thinking and contemplating. And I feel like you're going to have an encounter that is really interesting. And I think it will be something where some kind of animal that it's fairly out of place. Maybe not out of place, but something you don't see that often. And for some reason, I really think that it might be a fox. It might be a fox. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to cough. I keep I keep almost coughing here. I'm hoping for the hope of all hope that we're not getting sick again. It just comes in waves, you know. For all the wonderfulness that these kids are, they have a lot of germs. And having a toddler, I'm really learning that keeping my immune system up is so important, because every other week I'm starting to have, different things, and they don't take hold, thankfully. Last year was kind of the gauntlet, really got sick quite often, but this year have been way more up on the supplements and the things that we're eating, just to boost better health as far as not getting sick all the time. But we'll see. So I'm sorry if you hear me kind of trying not to cough there. Okay, so a fox. I feel like, and I'm seeing this movement. You can see that there seems to be kind of walking, and it looks like multiple people, but it looks like it's one person who is moving through. And I also see it looks like a L and a D. So LD, maybe initials. Now, I imagine being out there, right, and getting a glimpse of some kind of fox, maybe, maybe some kind of like badger or a gopher. I don't know where you live, but, these different kinds of animals that we will find in the suburbs, maybe not in the core of the city, but out in the rural areas as well. And the fox, to me, when you get a little glimpse of it, is such a playful and clever little being. But I feel like when we witness one, it is like, especially if you're in the northern hemisphere and it is pretty cold. Everything's kind of gone down for the winter, right? And so it's a little, you see this bright red or maybe a little more brown. They kind of tone down in their color as it gets colder. But you see it up against kind of this bleak landscape. And it really is a reminder of the fires of life. Everything is still enduring. It might not look like it. It might seem like, it really might seem like everything has perished, right? That all of the life is kind of gone out of everything, and it's not only sleeping, but it might be kind of done for the season and beyond, especially if you live somewhere where it freezes, right? We look at things and it's like, gosh, I don't know how that's going to come back. But they do, right? As soon as it gets warm and you start to see the little green poking up through the old, and things start to emerge. Well, in these cold months and these dark months, and we see these beautiful little sparks of life out there, hunting and playing and, going from one place to the next so it can get back in its little hole and get back to being warm. These are reminders that even through these dark nights, we still endure, right? And it's so, as I look at the first symbol, and I feel like there's a lot of sentimentality. I also feel like there's maybe a little bit of sadness in this. And, sometimes we can't help but be a little bit sad during these holiday times. Because a lot of things, the way that maybe you used to come together with family, and listen, the magic of any kind of celebration, when you're a child, is so intensified. It's intensified. And, it just seems so big. It seems so, it flows through everything. There's just, so much imagination. Other people are throwing the events, right? Everything's kind of taken care of, and you get to be the main participant in all of the magic. And then as we get older and people move away and everybody starts to have families and the celebrations are different, and people pass and transition and all these things. It's, of course, you can look back and you think it's a little bit sad, you living in those old memories. So I can see you almost in this mode of the hermit, going out and doing your walks and being out there in nature and really just kind of thinking about those old times, that intense love that you felt. And that striking image of something, just, if you've ever seen a fox kind of run through the edge of a field, or, kind of pop out of the tree line, or whatever it is, wherever you see them, that's where I would usually see them. My last place that I lived, there were a family or two of foxes, and you would see them around dusk. They would go running along the edge of the opening there, and they were beautiful, and they were just just life, pure life, right? And so, anyways, I also see we have an owl here who is kind of perched, and you can kind of see right there, and we have the moon. Okay, so. I feel like in this time where there is introspection, there is kind of going over these old memories, there is a sense of, just kind of getting older, feeling a little bit more of the observer than that main participant. And maybe that is something that you enjoy. Maybe that is something that you find a little difficult. But I think the way that we kind of combat the lamenting of these things is finding once again an active role in maybe facilitating more celebration. Maybe, if you don't have family with you, going out into the community, finding places to be, going and volunteering, maybe serving meals, communing with your neighbors, with your spiritual or religious communities, whatever it is. I think so often we get into these places where we feel quite alone, where we feel that all the good has already passed in our life. It's already happened, and now here I am. My kids have grown up. Maybe I live alone. I don't visit with people as much. Our family has gotten smaller, or people have dispersed and whatever. And so, we have to get into this mode of really being proactive about finding our places to be with people, if that's what speaks to you. Now, on the other hand, maybe it's all about making new traditions for yourself. Maybe it's about going and finding something fun to do that has nothing to do with the holidays. Instead going and seeing a movie, or I don't know. I just thought going ice skating, that sounds treacherous. But you know what I mean? Just finding something, okay? And that's important. It's important that we remember that we're in control of our own fun, of our own reasons to celebrate, and what do we do with our time? And what do we do with our time? The truth is, nobody is going to do it for us, So when it is lacking, we don't get invited. Nobody's having a party this year. So then we find something else. Don't just accept it. Go and do something else. Go do something brave, exciting, something new. All right, so we have a little heart and we have a little sled, it looks like, in the emotional zone there. And yeah, some little birds there. So, I think, of course, travel. There maybe is travel coming. But I think really the big thing here is going and letting people know how much you love them. I think this is the other thing that happens with us is that we wait for people to come to us. We wait for people to go out of their way to tell us how they feel, to remember us, to include us. Well, maybe this is because I was just one of those kids. I never got picked for anything. I was constantly forgotten. Nobody could ever remember my name. It was like that. It sucked. Those things sucked. It sucks to feel that way. But I think I learned from a young age that it's like, if I want to do something, I have to go and I have to be the one to initiate. I have to be, I'm going to make sure that people remember my name. If they don't call me, I'm going to call them. And if they don't check on me, I'm going to check on them. I'm going to treat people better than they treat me. And it's not because it's like a, feeling less than or subservient or anything like this. It's just that I think I realized, because I had a troubled childhood at home and so on. I think that I realized that, most of us are just trying to survive. I think that a lot of times people forget things. They don't necessarily consider how something would make you feel. They're just overwhelmed, busy. And it's our job really nobody's going to save us. From life. Nobody can create an environment that is going to be the thing that makes life so wonderful. We have to do that for ourselves. We need to find our own joys, our own happinesses. And sometimes that means you just have to be the one to make sure, that you're making the first communication. You're the one calling to say, hey, I love you. And if you've had kids, sometimes you got to chase them down and let them know, hey, I love you. I'm thinking about you. You might not text me for the next 2 weeks, but when you consider texting me, I'm here, right? And so, sometimes it just is like that. And let's see. Let's go look at the affirmation cards here. Oops. And it's the new moon. So I'm all mixed up today. It just is one of those days. So this is the Cincy Child affirmation cards deck. And oh, goodness. Okay. I just had some elderberry earlier. I'm hoping that'll help stop this thing from taking hold as a cough. Okay, so we're going to flip through. I'm going to stop. I'm going to flip it over, and it says, I trust and welcome the divine in my life. I trust and welcome the divine in my life. Yes. I trust it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and say thank you so much, Pisces, for getting through this one with me. Like I said, the new moon, I film during the night a lot now. So when I do it during the day, I was on a roll going in the day and I was used to it. Now I feel like all wound up during the day while I'm doing my reading. So thank you for getting through this with me. I know it's a little bit different of energy, but I appreciate it. And also just with this coldy cold thing coming on. So if you would be so kind as to like the video, it does help so much. If you haven't subscribed, please think about doing that. You can hit the little bell. It'll let you know when the next videos are coming out. And it is free to subscribe. And if you want to leave a comment, please do. I read them all. I really do. And sometimes I get a little behind, but you know what? I definitely read them. I try to give them all a heart so you know that I have seen it. And what else? I think that's it. Hopefully you're getting through this. I'm recording this on 12/12. So this has 12/12 energy. And hopefully it is most blessed energy for you, for me, for all of us. And I love you. I'll talk to you in a few days. Take care of yourself.